Welcome, everyone. This is our Android Week with Alan Furstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Michael Banks in Augusta, Georgia, Nate Swanner in Portland, Oregon. This is our Android Week. And welcome. It's been a dead news week and anticipation for CES, which is largely about 4K. But there's some Android-related news and things.
I wouldn't say it's largely about 4K, just because that's the only thing you're paying attention to.
I think it's... We can look at...
Let me put it this way, Dan. I have not heard one report yet that has anything to do with 4K, whereas the internet-enabled toothbrush has gotten a lot of press.
Because, well, Samsung and Sony's event is still going on, I think, or they've just ended it. I watched part of that. They introduced the first 4K Handycam, bunch of TVs that are going to support 4K. Those announcements hadn't happened yet, but CES as a whole, I think 4K.
Of course they happened. All of the announcements happened before CES.
I think that most of the news stories, after it's all said and done, will be about 4K, but I could be wrong.
And I think after it's all said and done, it's going to be about a wireless, about an internet-enabled toothbrush.
Is it 4K?
No.
Okay. Then I don't want it.
But we'll be talking about it Friday, betcha.
Absolutely. So, welcome, Alan, of course, and Duke Carrico, I see there. Welcome, Duke. And Bruce Turner. Welcome, Bruce.
Yes, I'm waiting for digital floss, personally.
Don't they have a water one?
So digital floss?
Yeah.
As in with your digit?
Yeah.
I think I would like to have a 3D printed low-fat hamburger before I use that.
Did you hear about that guy who ate nothing but McDonald's and lost 39 pounds?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. But that's not entirely an Android topic, so I guess...
Do they have 4K video of him?
I think the documentary is in 2K. All right. So anyway, a guy ate McDonald's for like 90 days and lost 39 pounds. What the hell? He had the egg white thing in the morning. He had a salad for lunch, and it was a teacher. And then he had a Big Mac with fries for dinner. And the students planned the meal for each day based on his nutritional requirements for the diet. So I guess, you know, I mean, who the hell goes to McDonald's and eats a salad? You know what I'm saying? Who goes to Burger King and gets the salad at Pizza Hut? Do you get the veggie shake or pizza?
The sort of person that goes on an Android show and talks about something besides Android.
Absolutely. Okay, so first up on our rundown here, the Asus Duet Hybrid swaps between Android and Windows with a push of a button. So I guess there's two things. There's a dual boot thing where you're flipping back and forth. And then there's this, which I think is different. Alan can correct me in that it's not both running at the same time. You're sort of freezing one when you go to the other. And then when you switch back, is that difference significant? Does it matter? And what do you guys think about this whole concept of I'm very interested in this. I think it'll be nobody's going to buy a laptop in the future without both. What do you think, Alan?
Well, I think it's the biggest significance is avoiding the large startup time. You know, so dual boot means that when you shut one down, you're shutting it down. You need to switch to the other one. You shut it down. You start the other one up. There's a significant lag in between there. And I dispute the fact that nobody's going to want one unless it does both. Honestly, this is a pretty desperate effort at this point by Windows to keep themselves even vaguely relevant.
Oh, so you don't think this is a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's good for Microsoft and good for just about nobody else.
Well, for a lot of people in the business world, you've got to have either a Mac or a PC.
Why?
For a lot of applications. I can't lay on my newspaper.
Do you really think those applications are going to run on this tablet? Really?
Even with the thing on top of it?
Well, is it going to be the thing or the thing?
The thing, the keyboard
Right.
thing. It's got a keyboard. It becomes. I think it has to be. The keyboard has to be attached. I think to run Windows, and it has to be detached to run Android. So you got your.
That would make for some increasingly useless things on both parts.
I think
But
even
look at this thing. It's got 4 gig of memory. So okay, we're not talking any serious applications here.
It is an i7
has a
though.
terabyte of memory as well.
Yeah, it's an i7. It's got a 128.
It's got a 128 SSD or 1 terabyte of hard drive. Okay, which is fine, but nobody, and that's good and useful. But when we're talking onboard memory, 4 gig is at the very, very low end of what Windows can handle.
I think the whole detachable keyboard tablet hybrid thing is stupid. If I want my tablet, you're going to take your iPad, or you're going to take your Nexus 7 tablet like I have, and I'm going to use it as a tablet. I don't want some 12-inch ridiculous thing. When I want this, the idea of being able to run Android apps natively on a laptop is pretty cool, but I don't need the detachable thing. I think that's dumb.
Well, you can do this. I don't want to say like this, but has anybody used BlueStacks?
Yeah, it's beyond cumbersome. I was not impressed.
Okay, well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can install BlueStacks, then you can install various Android APKs within BlueStacks, and you can run Android from your PC.
But it's a ghetto setup.
Well, I
it?
agree. I agree with that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if this implementation is good, I'm kind of excited about it. Okay. It does bother me that it's going to debut with Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, but you know what? If I'm needing a new Windows laptop, the fact that Android's going to be built into this is probably going to appeal to me. But when I look at the stats of this, and I agree with Alan, I mean 4 gigs, I don't take that very seriously. But the rest of the stats I don't think are too bad. And I might, if I can upgrade that 4 gigs, I would probably consider this when I'm ready to buy another Windows laptop.
I think it'd be cool if you could copy from one and paste into the other. If they were sort of both running. Like if you're trying to do a post and you want to take a couple sentences from it and elaborate on it or whatever for journalism.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it's either or. Bruce, what do you think? Is this stupid or awesome or something in between?
The jury's out for me. We were joking earlier in the pre-show about I Frankenstein and about not plowing with an ox and a goat together or something like that, or putting new wine in old wineskins. Or there's another one, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I'm wondering, obviously they spent some R&D and marketing research to figure out, that there's enough of a market for this to put something out like this. I don't think that I would pay for it for myself. Now, if it was time for my company to replace my Windows laptop, and they said get whatever you want, then I might be interested in it. To have this kind of convertible approach and so forth, it might provide some different options for me, especially in making presentations at conventions and booth setups and stuff like that.
Does anyone think that the detachable thing is necessary or appealing in any way?
You know what? Does anybody, are they in the market for, like a 10-inch tablet?
Wouldn't you buy a 10-inch tablet?
I think that I would probably, and here again, I mean, the implementation's everything. I haven't seen this thing. I might eat my words, guys. But you know what? If this thing detached is comparable to an Android tablet, this appeals to me, okay, versus buying a $500 Samsung Note Pro.
You think they're better off doing it this way and driving the cost up by having a detachable thing, or do you think?
I don't want to say they're better off. I'm just thinking about how I've used a tablet in the past, and just speaking for myself, I think this could be a viable option.
So we're trying to get you to go out on a limb here, so we can play it back in 6 months and make you look
Well,
dumb.
I mean, I'm just being honest, and I might eat my words. I have not seen this. Basically, what I know about it is the couple of articles that I've seen released today. Okay, the concept I like, but I have not seen this implementation. And once I see it, like blue stacks, I might say, man, this sucks.
All right. So final verdict, Alan. Is this going to end up in the CES graveyard, or is this going to be awesome?
I think by next CES we'll have forgotten about this.
Okay. There's some weird stuff at CES. The Sony guy, when I had to stop watching to get ready for the show, he had some kind of thing, the Sony logger, and it logs everything you do. And I don't know. It was kind of, maybe it's cooler than my initial analysis suggested. So next up, the new Pebble Steel smartwatch is, I guess, these are paper, what's it called? Paperwhite devices. In other words, it's not like, I don't know.
Correct. Yeah.
So
well, the
go
big
ahead.
deal about the display on these is twofold. The first is that it's monochrome, but also that it only uses power when it's updating the display. So unlike certain, what's a generous way to put it? Unlike some other really stupidly designed smartwatches, this can essentially last for weeks or more on a single charge, which is, the way you want to design your watches. So you're not worrying about running out of power. You're not looking at your watch wondering when it's going to run out of power.
So it's a compromise. You get long battery life in exchange for, But really, these all work in connection with a phone or whatever device. They're not standalone. So you don't need it to be all the whistles and bells.
They are and they aren't. The Pebble does let you do some things standalone. It doesn't need to be tethered to the phone all the time.
I mean, I suppose it tells the time.
It tells the time. It's got some apps on it that run by itself.
But by and large, you're going to have your phone on you if you need the color screen or to watch a video or what have you.
Right.
And this is a good
again, it goes back
compromise.
to the design that I've said many, many times when it comes to wearables, is you find the correct form factor, you find the correct set of uses for your wearables. You don't assume that the device is going to be your all-in-one device, because that's just stupid. You don't want that in the first place.
Anybody else rushing out besides Alan to buy a Pebble smartwatch?
I am actually planning on getting myself a Pebble.
How much are they?
The low-end ones are $150. The model that was released today is $250.
I was kind of, I don't know. I mean, CES isn't done yet, but I was wondering if there was going to be a crop of wearables. They were on wearables when I had to leave the Sony event.
Almost certainly there will be a crop of wearables, but Pebble is out in front of just about everybody else.
I think this is interesting, Bruce. This is old news, but this is like more of the kind you'd wear instead of the plastic, colorful thing. You might want to wear this to work, whereas you might not want to wear the conventional one because it would be too gauche or whatever. Same reason I'm not going to go to Food Lion wearing a freaking Google Glass.
Why wouldn't you go to Food Lion wearing Google Glass?
Because it's like, I don't know. It was cool for like 2 weeks, and everyone did their profile picture. We went into all this on Google Plus Week.
Yeah, and I still think you're wrong.
No, Kadeas, our good friend, offered, to hook me up, and I didn't want it. I don't know. I just think it's like 7 of 9. It's too, look at me. I have this fancy thing, and you don't have it. Haha.
I'm thinking at CES you're more likely to get a crop of wearables rather than a crop of wearables.
You're in rare form tonight, Bruce.
Well, I mean,
We've gone from first Old Testament references to bowel movements in full circle. What do you think about the Pebble, Bruce?
Well, it's interesting. You know, I heard an analogy on, I believe I heard it on Twit Sunday, that I thought was really interesting in that the one of the panelists was wearing a Pebble, liked it. He talked about why he liked it and everything. It seems to be the the best one in the field right now, and he described it as kind of like the Palm Pilot. The Palm Pilot took some of the information, like in the Apple Newton thing, and simplified it and made a very functional device that worked really well for what it was designed to, and that's the way he described the Pebble. And I've never seen a Pebble. I've never worn it. I have some friends who have them and seem to like them. But if I were to, I wouldn't spend $249. I'd buy another Chromebook, I think, for that price. But maybe the lower end one might be interesting. But I've not worn a watch now for 2.5 years, and so I'd have to get used to that and figuring out why I really need this on my wrist. Is there enough in the Pebble watch to warrant me changing back to that part of my life?
Is there an app that simulates these so you can see what it's like? Because I don't. I'm like you. I mean, I haven't worn a watch. God, I don't know how long. I never was a big watch guy anyway. I'm not. As Cheech and Chong said, I'm not into time. But I don't know. Duke, do you wear a watch? Would you get a Pebble?
Actually, I just started wearing this watch. This watch was a gift.
That's kind of freaky looking. What is it?
It reads in binary code.
Oh, cool.
It's not a very expensive watch, but Bruce and I hang out in a community on G Plus called Tech and Coffee, and one of the regulars there, George Dosher, went to Europe, to the UK, to a OG camp, and he was staying with another guy there, a Jazz Muhammad, and they were in Glasgow, and they went to a Maplin's, and they bought these watches because they read in binary code. They thought they were cool, and the story that I got was they got back to a Jazz's flat, and George looked at him and said, "You know who would like this watch?" Jazz said, "Duke Carico would love this watch." So they went back the next day and they bought this watch for me. You have to be smart to read this watch, okay? This is a true smart watch. Here's the deal. I think that the Pebble, just like Bruce said, I have friends who have the Pebble who love it. Okay? The Pebble seems to be the Roku of streaming devices. I mean, people seem to like the Pebble, and I think this is a good move for them to make a higher end device. It's basically the same as the $150 model, except it's got a nicer chassis, not too much unlike the iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S. And I just think it makes sense for Pebble to do this.
Maybe Bruce will break his ban on watches for this.
I think that the actual interesting, the big news that from Pebble that comes out today, even though it's not hardware, is that their app store is going to be launching at the end of the month. So they're pushing hard to.
Well, that's good news for guys like you.
Well, it's good news for people who are using the Pebble too, because it means easy access to all of the apps that it has available for it.
Cool. Okay.
I'm still looking for a watch. I've always liked wearing a watch. I was a watch guy till smartphones came along, but I'm still looking for a watch that is a little bit more than just an extension of my phone.
I know Craig. I asked him about it because he's a freak about watches. He does watch reviews. He reviews everything. I mean, if he got a new kind of toilet paper, he'd do 3 minutes on YouTube. Anyway, so he said he's at an event or something, and he's like. Doing videography, and somebody will say like, "Oh, we'll be, come back in 6 minutes," and he can look at his watch, real convenient. He doesn't have to. He's got cameras and stuff. He didn't have to pull his phone out, and so he really likes his watch, and he always wears one. So I haven't for years. I've never been a jewelry guy. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm glad that someone in Tennessee knows binary. Very impressed, Duke. I'm sure you use it to confuse your neighbors and friends.
Listen, it's taken me a while to really be able to look at it and read it.
You get used to it. Okay, so next up, one of my graphic designers had a binary clock. It was really cool. Okay, next up, Samsung goes to work. See what they did there? Samsung goes to work with the Galaxy Note Pro Tab Pro. So what these are is they are, I think they're, what do they say? They said what they're trying to do is this. Like most of us, I use a tablet as a consumption device mainly. I would not write a screenplay or article on a tablet. Hell no. I prefer my desktop for certain things. I use my laptop only when it's absolutely necessary because it sucks. It's a Sony Vaio and it just sucks. So if I'm doing a karaoke thing, I'll use my laptop because of the portable nature of it, and it runs full Windows software. And then if I had a Chromebook, I might use that for stuff, but I just don't. I don't really need one. And then I use my phone for, phone stuff. But they're trying to address that issue and try to come up with a better keyboard, still a screen keyboard, right? Not a physical keyboard. And I don't know. Are you guys impressed with this? Or are they, again, a tablet is ideal for certain things. I don't think it makes sense to try to turn that into a laptop or a desktop computer. Because it's a tablet. It's not. I don't know. Am I wrong? What do you guys think?
I think the interesting part of this story is that they're making, we're talking Samsung here, the company whose motto is, bigger is better. So they're producing a tablet in a 12-point-something inch form factor.
I thought that was Pam's motto.
Yeah,
from Google Plus Week.
Same difference. So okay, maybe they think that 12 inches is going to be useful to somebody. Sure, whatever. I think they're once again just throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks. This is a non-story otherwise.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Alan. Anytime I see pro stuck on anything, I feel like it's a marketing ploy. I'm even hearing rumors, of the iPad Pro. I'm not taking this too serious. I don't know. What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, the reason I'm sitting here tonight using a Chromebook is because it's a lot more functional device for me than a big tablet. It's the reason why I got the Note 2 as my phone. I mean, it's interesting. I noticed they're offering an 8.4-inch model. It's interesting on planes. You used to see a lot of people with iPads. See a whole lot more people now with iPad minis and 7-inch form factor. Kindle HDs and Nexus 7s than you do the big tablets. So it doesn't interest me.
I'm glad they're innovating, right? I am. I'm glad they're innovating, and they're throwing this stuff against the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah, and it's going to be full of all kind of Samsung crap apps as well.
That's the thing, man. I think I've bought my last bloatware carrier model phone. I'm totally in Nate Swanner's camp on that now. Mm-hmm. What do you got? You got the, but
Nexus
I can't use.
Nexus
yeah, so
5.
That's only AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon, right? That won't work on Sprint.
Sprint.
See, that
AT&T,
sucks.
T-Mobile, and Sprint.
Because Sprint has the best coverage here, but T-Mobile just bought all that spectrum from Verizon for $2.4 billion or 2.3, whatever, over $2 billion. And apparently it's going to make a real play in rural areas, which is where I am. All Tennessee is considered rural, isn't it, Duke?
Yeah, but hey, we got LTE before Lynchburg did.
That's right. Yeah, you did. You did.
I don't know, Dan. You said something like, you're glad that they're innovating. I don't think there's any innovation here.
I'm glad they're trying different things to see what sticks, and they're wasting a lot of time and money doing it. And I don't think they do enough focus groups to see if there's any need. I mean, Steve Jobs' claim to fame was he could figure out what you wanted before you knew, and was good at it. And he only put out a few products a year. Now, Samsung, of course, is a behemoth, and we know them only for their technology, but they're in tons and tons of different industries. They're a huge company.
Yeah. They are, but I really think that they just essentially say, yeah, what can we do today? Sure, larger smartphone, sure, larger tablet, sure, whatever. They just keep throwing ideas out without really thinking about the ideas.
Uh,
If you want to talk innovation, let's talk the next subject, because that's innovation.
I think it's Samsung saying we got to fill an hour at CES and we got to shit something out by January.
Yeah,
And so here we
and
are.
then March, and then June, and then September, and then November.
They do a lot
I
of
mean,
good stuff,
look,
you know.
oh, come on! What of Samsung's products that we've talked about, and we talk about Samsung endlessly, from the past year, have even been halfway decent? The Note 3. Anything else?
Not, I mean, I guess their TVs are good. If I was buying a TV, I'd certainly consider
I said that
Samsung.
we talked about in the past year. Because we talk about a Samsung product every other week, it seems like.
Their watch was a disaster. Could not have been a bigger flop.
Right.
I was not more than an hour ago. I had a guy tell me that he had bought the Samsung Galaxy Gear watch and loved it, absolutely loved it, because he bought it with a Note 3.
He's got a Note 3, right?
Even with the Note 3, it's,
Hey, Bruce, just let me ask you. We're talking about the Note. I've got the original Note. I know you've got the Note 2. The stylus and the Samsung software that came with the stylus. Would you call that innovative?
No.
Neither, nor would I. Nor would I. And I mean, that is one thing that Samsung's Note series tries to really tout.
Right.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of like Dan. I don't fault them for trying, but at the same time, there's not enough there to make me want to buy it. Okay.
Yeah, like you guys, I bought it for the large screen size.
Exactly.
And I pull the stylus out every once in a while when someone wants to see the stylus, and then I put it back in there, and I never ever use it. I played with it initially. I think Bruce did initially. I don't know if he still is. Are you? Do you still use the stylus?
A little bit. I haven't played with it since I've updated to 4.3. There's supposed to be some other things that you can do with the stylus in 4.3, but
I'll be honest. I'm intrigued with my next phone. I'm intrigued with what Duke has. I almost think the Note 2 is a little too big because for one-handed operation, it's very cumbersome. And most of the, I mean, it's not, I mean, how often do you really watch a YouTube video on your phone? And if it was an inch smaller, would it kill you? But boy, it would need to be able to type easier and to have a pure Nexus experience too. The pure Android, the quicker updates, no sprint zone BS and all that crap that they stick on.
And here again, maybe it's because I was just used to the lag. Guys, I cannot tell you how fast this phone is, how smooth the operating system is. I mean, scrolling on this thing, there's never a bobble.
How much of that is bloatware versus no bloatware? How much of that is just a new phone and the Android speed creep hasn't happened yet? Alan, can you address that? Because Android's notorious for over time, just like a Windows machine, getting slower and slower, and then when you get an update, all of a sudden it's fast again.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. So he's on the edge of his seat. All right. Next.
Well, I'm sorry. I have trouble caring about Samsung. I do.
No, I'm asking you.
There's a couple of nice
He says
things
his
and the rest
phone
of
is
the
so
stuff
fast.
Who cares?
But is Sony or his Google Nexus 5, right? That's what it is, right, Duke?
That's correct.
It's much faster. Is that likely because it's faster phone, or is that just because it's new and
Both.
the Android creep hasn't happened yet?
Both.
Okay. All right.
You want to talk innovation? Hit the next subject already.
Next
'Cause
topic.
that's innovative.
Next topic. Yota, the Android smartphone from Russia with 2 screens, and this is cool. One is a typical phone screen, and the other side is like a Kindle Paperwhite type screen, like we talked about with the Pebble, and you can, I guess it's optimized for reading text. And these things have a tremendous battery life because, I mean, like the Kindle, my God, doesn't it go weeks and weeks on a charge?
Yeah.
It's very innovative. So what do you think about this? What do you think about this product?
We've talked about the Yota. I think this is the third time we've covered them, to be honest. But I still think this is an innovative, clever approach. I'm a little bit surprised at some of how how the implementation has come through. I'm not sure it's perfect. I think it'll take a couple more iterations before they get it better. But I think they're actually taking a real stab at innovating, unlike certain other companies that I've just trashed. I think it's really clever, not just that, you can use software that's that's intended to be used with it, but that, for anything that's up on your screen, you can essentially just swipe and a screenshot will appear on the other side. That's useful. So when you get your boarding pass, great. You look at it on you look at it, you've read your email, you do the swipe, you turn your machine off, and your boarding pass is still there. That's useful.
I did something similar with my Note 2, or maybe it was my Photon. I bought something at Walmart, the site to store thing, where you order online and they ship it to the store, and it takes a horrifically long amount of time. I haven't done it since. But they emailed me a barcode. I was supposed to print the barcode out. I just went to the store, and I just pulled the email up on my phone and held it out there, and he scanned it just like it was a printout on my phone, and it registered, and he went and got the product. So that's kind of cool.
Sure, but now imagine that you could do that without turning your phone on. And yet it's still on your phone. So and that's what this gives you.
Be great for Bruce's shopping lists.
Oh, yeah.
When the wife says, buy meat, and you're like, what kind, What do you think about this phone, Bruce?
Well, I hear what Alan's saying, and I think that, there may be some value in the example that he gives, but how many other, examples, would there be? I mean,
Maps.
Pardon me?
Maps.
Maps? More often than not, when I'm accessing maps, I'm driving and I'm hooked up to a charger. I'm not concerned about battery life. To me, I mean, there's some possibilities, but it just overcomplicates. It would overcomplicate my world. Let's put it that way.
Well, who has a Kindle or some sort of e-ink device and can tell us how much better, other than the battery life issue, what is the quality of printed text on an e-ink screen versus a conventional LCD screen that we're used to?
Well, on the newer ones, like the Paperwhite from Amazon Kindle and stuff, it's an excellent reading thing, and if that's if it's a designated reader, then it does work out great. But I like carrying one device, and granted the Yota would be still one device. But when you're flying small commuter jets and you got a 45-minute flight followed by an hour-and-a-half flight, reading as I did parts of 2 books on my Galaxy Note 2 was a very pleasant experience for me. And one-handed, flipping pages, drinking my cran apple in the other hand, it worked out really good. But it doesn't appeal to me. I can see where it might appeal to some people, though. But it is more innovative, to be sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure Samsung will come out with a 2-screen phone by next CES. Duke.
Bet you they won't.
Chuck Cortez says he finally got.
What do you want to bet, Dan?
No, I'll concede that. Chuck Cortez says he finally got the video working, figured out what the problem was. Could you let us know what the problem is in a comment, just so we can make a mental note if someone else has that issue? I think it was saying this video is not compatible or something, and it was a unique situation. So if you could elaborate on that a bit, that'd be helpful, for future use. Duke, you interested in this 2-screen e-ink phone?
I might be mistaken, but I'm thinking about the second or third show I did with you guys. We talked about a similar device that had an e-ink display on the back.
We talked about the same device. This is it.
Is this the same device?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just want to say, when we talk about innovation, this is innovative, okay? Putting a curved screen either vertically or horizontally on a phone, to me, maybe it's innovation, but I don't see the purpose in it. And I can see where there's times when this is going to be handy. Okay, a big selling point, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, I'd pay double what I'm paying now for phones to have it, but you know, e-ink, low energy, yeah, man, I think it's pretty cool.
Are you going to buy their 105-inch TV?
You know, I'll tell you
Is that
what,
on your list for
that's
Christmas
one
next
area,
year?
It's one area where curved displays makes a lot of sense to me in these big TVs. But in a phone, come on, man. I mean, tell me why I need that. It just does not make sense to me why anybody would build a curved display into a telephone. I'm sorry.
So you can say it's the first. That's the only reason. I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, for a 105-inch TV, for, you know, a badass TV for rich, geeky couch potatoes, sure, you know.
Yeah.
But
One other thought I had about this Yota, I mean, how many companies are going to be, you know, hot to trot to make a case for this thing, and what kind of case would it be? Because you don't want to cover up the back screen, and then you've got more a glass area where you could have damage. I mean, you could make some kind of a bumper case, I suppose, for it, but to me, it would be more apt to be damaged. I would think more, you know. So.
And I guess we'd all have to. I mean, it's not fair unless we could see it to judge it, but we do that every night, right? So, don't let the facts get in the way of our opinions. All right, next up, Microsoft reportedly considers letting consumers pick a device and then its operating system. I don't know. My bullshit detector on this story is going off a little bit. But basically, you could get the phone and decide if you want Windows Phone or Android. Which makes
my big question on this is, who is Microsoft to bless you with this option? Who cares about them? Nobody cares about Microsoft on the phone. Nobody.
I know one guy who loves it. He's the only person I've ever seen with a Windows Phone, and he just thinks it's awesome. And he trolls me on Facebook about it, about how awesome his Windows Phone is and Android sucks. And he's the only guy I've ever met it's the only one I've actually seen in the wild. But he likes it, so they got one guy, right? They got one customer who's happy with their Windows Phone. That's more than BlackBerry, probably.
No, BlackBerry has larger market share than Microsoft does, I think, still. Now I want to look that up.
Yeah, saw several businessmen with Blackberries. You know, did you ever watch those old westerns and how the cowboys would die really hard? It's like, you know, it's like, oh, you know. And this is Microsoft Windows Phone. I mean, it's dying slow, and this is one of the last gasp, you know,
of the Balmer era.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember we on Google Plus Week we discussed the Surface when it first was announced, and I was excited about it. I thought this is cool. It's full-blown Windows, and it's detachable, so you could have a tablet, and I could run InDesign or full-blown Photoshop or what have you on the tablet in the field. That'd be cool, right? I could run my Sony Vegas program or Premiere Pro, whatever, and it turns out that the thing sucked and everyone hated it. And the Windows 8 was just a disaster. But anyway. Alan's getting ready to...
I have to take it back. It looks like that Windows is marginally better than BlackBerry is at this point in terms of new sales, which is not surprising since I don't know if there's any BlackBerry for sale. Anyway, next topic.
Yeah, it's like Iran or North Korea. I can't choose.
Just real quick, I'm thinking, didn't HTC, wasn't there, seems like I read an article here a while back where HTC was considering this dual boot option between Windows and Android. Am I imagining that?
I remember something about that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is really big news. I think the hardware is somewhat compatible to where you could probably do it pretty easily.
All right, so in a week that should be highlighting innovation and technology, we're grasping at straws here. Next up, um, Google announced. Okay, this is cool. Google announces an open automotive alliance, and they have a website called, wait for it, openautoalliance.net, and this is in partnership with GM, Honda, Google, of course, Audi, NVIDIA, I guess to make the screens, Hyundai,
The chips.
the chips, excuse me. So, what's this about, Alan? This is,
No, you just summarized it fairly well. I mean, it boils down to that Google wanted to jump in feet first because Apple was already nosing its way in there with a couple of models, a couple of photo manufacturers. So Google is jumping in and saying, "Hey, we can work with cars too." So they make this big splashy announcement. They get a bunch of car companies behind them. Who knows if anything's going to happen at all? But it's it's nice. It gets them some press. It gets some people thinking.
okay, so I know that like one of the cars is gonna, we're seeing, okay, the Tesla has some sort of tablet type thing, and lots of apps. You can start your car. You can, it can, whatever, it's typical stuff you'd assume a car could do if it was smart. And then we're seeing some cars come out with 4G hotspots built in.
Yeah, that
And
was another announcement today. Is that who is it? GM, I think, was partnering with AT&T to have 4G built in. Woo wee, bad idea.
well, it's a
Bad, bad.
natural extension of their OnStar service.
Yep.
So that's something they had to do. It's obvious. It's the next, and their OnStar is popular. I know a guy has it. He loves it. He doesn't even have a cell phone, but he's got OnStar. And then we're seeing this. So what's the natural? A lot of this stuff your phone does, like GPS. People used to buy a GPS unit for their car. Now you don't need one. You can just use your phone and put your cool iOtti, which Bruce turned me on to, and use that for. It's still if we need if I bought a new car and had GPS built into it, I would use that as opposed to my phone. Just have my phone free, but the phone's just good enough that I got no problem. I'll use that, but I wouldn't spend extra for a GPS unit, but I would certainly use it if it were in the car anyway. But what needs to happen here? What's the logical course of action, Alan, or Bruce, if you were designing a car, and of course, Bruce, you travel a lot. Um, what do you wish your car could do that your phone can't do for you?
Well, it really depends on the implementation, and let's take another opportunity to throw another dagger at Microsoft when when they first came out with Microsoft Windows CE. Does anybody remember that? And they tried to get that in cars, and of course, Ford went with Microsoft Sync and all that kind of stuff. I think it's good that there's an open source project for automobile makers to work with. Um, I like the iOtti, like you said. I bring it. I throw it in my suitcase. I'm driving a new Mustang this week, and I put the iOtti up there and do the Bluetooth pairing. And I like having all of my music, most everything I need on the phone. So really, all I need is Bluetooth media connection, phone, and stuff like that. Like you said, I like Waze. I'm used to it. I like Google Maps. It works real well. Um, I'm not going to leave my phone home when I travel, so I'm used to my phone. I'm comfortable with my phone, so I really don't need to have a bunch of whiz bang stuff. Now maybe if I'm buying a car, there's some opportunity for family, wife and kids to be able to do some things. I can see where it would be helpful there. But at my age and my particular state of life, I'm very happy with what my phone does and the level of connectivity that I have with cars I rent.
What do you think, Duke? Because I look at it like this: your phone is updated. You can get a new phone. You're always every couple years, Sprint updates your phone or whatever. And if you have a Nexus device, you're getting very frequent updates. I look at this as kind of like it's a proprietary thing the cars are doing. and I would compare it to the smart TV apps, which suck compared to what's on your phone or your tablet. What do you think? Is this? But if it's open Android, maybe you could get the newest version. I mean, you could have a Nexus car and get the new Android built into it. What do you think?
Well, we touched on this just a little bit last week, I think, with the Audi announcement. I've got to see what this looks like. I mean, if it's just more of my phone in my car, I'm not going to get very excited about this, okay? But if it's something that's really going to be innovative, that's really going to be tied into the pieces and parts under the hood, to where it's it's going to tell me that hey, this is a problem, and do you wish to email the dealer to set up an appointment to have it fixed? And by the way, this part cost $565, and it's 3 hours labor at $125 an hour to fix it. I mean, that's what I'm looking for.
That would be cool. You don't have to go to AutoZone to get the engine light checked anymore. Something's going to pop up on your phone or whatever and tell you, hey, you need this part. Here's where you can get it. It's this cost. That is neat. That would be neat.
Plus, Dan, I'm, just knowing Bruce like I do, and knowing the problems that he's had with some of his Android updates here lately with his phone, I'm really afraid that I'm going to log into the Hangout one day over in Tech and Coffee, and Bruce is going to tell me something like, you're not going to believe this, man. I went over to XDA forums and I grabbed this update and I bricked my Saturn.
Could happen, and it'll happen to Bruce because he's on the cutting edge. He does all that crazy stuff. He lives
Duke knows I drive a Saturn Ion too.
He shoots first, asks questions later. Yeah, I'm more excited about this Open Android project than anything GM would do, because I think these companies shouldn't try to build operating systems. That's not what they do. The commercial, we're me to always make a great copiers. Talk about a dying industry there. And I know I'm a newspaper publisher. I know about dying industries. But I'm more excited about this because, let Google and Apple do their thing and work with those guys, and don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Well, but here's the thing, though. Do you really think that Google has any concept of what kind of an operating system is useful for a car?
Well, they're designing driverless cars. I guess
yeah, but that's a completely different set of requirements.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that if you're going to put
here's the problem.
Internet connectivity in there, it would make sense to
what do you freaking do?
It would make sense to do it with Android and have app developers come up.
With Android?
As opposed to some proprietary shit?
Yes.
Because I think that's like my Vizio TV, where they tried to create their own Netflix app and all this crap, and it's garbage.
Android is amazingly unsuited for a tremendous number of applications, including phone calls. I have seen Android phones that are unable to get out of their own way to answer a phone. Do you really trust your Android operating system to get out of the way enough when you actually want to make a turn or hit the brakes? Come on. This is the problem with Android. It's not a real-time operating system.
It's not operating the vehicle, is it?
We don't know that. In the initial release, no, it's not. But
I certainly wouldn't want my life depending on my Galaxy Note 2's ability to quickly shift from, the GPS app to the brake when the train's coming.
That's the operating system that the automobile manufacturers have made. Your car has an operating system in it right now.
Yeah.
At any rate, the initial release on this, what they're coming out with for 2014, it's just going to be basic protocols on how your car is going to dock with and sync with your phone, and it won't be until later that more advanced features will be coming.
All right, so we all agree Android is going to basically save the American automobile industry. Just kidding. I'm more excited about this fuel cell thing, which is not an Android topic, but Toyota came out with a prototype for a fuel cell vehicle. Catchy name, the Toyota FCV for fuel cell vehicle. And it gets 301 miles range on a fuel fill up. The only exhaust is water, vapor. Very exciting until you like look at old Hindenburg footage. Then you get, then the magic is lost. But anyway.
I'd be more excited about this if it wasn't for the fact that I've been hearing promises of hydrogen-run vehicles for 15, 20 years now.
This, I remember 20 years ago, in the 80s. I'm almost as old as Bruce.
20 years ago would be the 90s, Dan. Just to
30 years ago, I remember hearing that some Saudi dude was like, they were talking about solar and all this stuff,
I drove in a solar car 30 years ago.
That does not surprise me. That Duke has a binary watch surprises me, but you driving a solar car does not. But no, I'm just saying it's the Saudi dude said that it's not the windmills and solar and all this other crap. The real threat to us is hydrogen fuel cells in the long term. And obviously emphasis on long term because that was 30 years ago. I think Reagan was president. It was in like a magazine. They used to have magazines. Okay, so there we go. We're all excited about your car becoming a death trap courtesy of Mountain View. Next up, AT&T's sponsored data. Well, this is a provocative headline, so I'll demo it like this. I'll intro it like this. Here's the deal. AT&T has this thing. It's called sponsored data. The idea being that if a movie company wanted to promote its trailer, that you could watch the trailer for the movie and it wouldn't impact your data cap, that the CBS or what company's making the movie would pay for that data. Maybe you could maybe if you get something from iTunes or from the Play Store, you actually rent a movie for $5 or whatever it is. It's cheaper just to get it from Redbox, but what the hell? Then they might include the data so it wouldn't count towards your plan. Now, this immediately sends red flags up. Neelay Patel wrote the best criticism of it. That's what I linked to here. AT&T sponsored data is bad for the internet, the economy, and you. I agree with them. And it's important before anyone yells net neutrality, mobile is specifically exempt from that. So that does not apply to mobile because of the way the infrastructure works.
I'll still yell net neutrality. Just because they happen to have gotten themselves exempted doesn't mean that I can't still hold their feet to the fire about it.
Sure, and you haven't had a good rant in this show yet, so we got to ramp it up somehow. But yeah, go ahead, Alan. Tell us why this is awful and AT&T's evil, and I will applaud.
But it creates the two-tier internet. We've had this issue multiple times.
Is it a big deal or is it a minor deal?
It's a medium deal.
It's a precedent.
Yeah, it's a bad one. But it's hardly surprising.
The last time we saw something like this was, what was it, Comcast that said, because they have data caps on their consumer internet. On the business side, they do not. So I have the premium business level, and I have no data cap. So the last time we saw this was when they said that for their internal stuff, they weren't going to count that because that wasn't on the open internet, and everyone cried foul. I think it was Comcast. Wasn't it Comcast? This was a Google Plus Week topic, though. Not an Android topic, but they were saying that certain traffic, I forget what it was from, wouldn't count towards your data usage because it was on their backbone. It wasn't on the open internet, so it didn't. They could give you unlimited, and everyone freaked out. And then we're like, oh my God, they're going to make NBC free and screw CBS and ABC because they own NBC now and Universal. Bruce, what do you think about this? Is this a mountain out of a molehill, or are you like pulling of hair, gnashing of teeth mad?
I don't think it's a mountain out of a molehill. I just don't know if it might be a hill. I'm not sure it's a hill I want to die on. I'm reading the article, and obviously, I mean, he's got he has it in his mind a very, clear thing, and he talks about, that this is not fair competition, it's just pay to play, and and his assumption is that the big dogs, the people with all the money, are going to use this as a way to have unfair competition,
to solidify the incumbents. That's my big thing, and
Right.
I want to get to Duke. But here's what I'm worried about. If you can't, Google was born when two kids at Stanford, right, came up with a better way to find stuff on the internet, to rank sites based on how many legitimate sites linked to them, and to say that that is a more valuable, more relevant site because it's got some cred, because other sites are linking to it. And that was the basis for Google. And now it's this big $12 billion a quarter behemoth. So my fear is that if you cement in the incumbents who are rich with stuff like this, and net neutrality, or the lack thereof in general, that the next person who comes up with a disruptive app like an Aereo, or somebody wants to battle Netflix or Amazon Prime or what have you, they're not going to be able to do it because they're going to, or at least they're going to have a big stumbling block because these incumbents are paying stuff. And what Nilay Patel argues is that in the end, that $4.99 movie is just going to cost $5.99 because instead of paying the carrier for the data, you're now going to pay Google Play or iTunes for the data, and that this is just bad, bad, bad. Duke, what do you think?
I agree. I agree with the article. I think he's hit it on the head. I think this is evil. I think it's AT&T evil.
A new kind of evil. And because there's a cross right above your head on screen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Listen. Alan, I think it's a big deal. Okay. Yeah, I've got a problem with it. I don't like to see AT&T doing it. It's I really love the picture here that The Verge put up, and believe me, I used to see this picture quite often. I'm going to enlarge it here real quick. Went through something similar when I was trying to hang out. Basically, I would go into the Hangout, and AT&T had blocked it because Google had updated, and they used to do similar stuff with the iPhone, and they're getting back to it. I mean, this really is not new to AT&T to say that you're either going to do this on a Wi-Fi network, or you're going to, if you do it through our data, somebody else is going to pay for it. And I'm sorry, I got a problem with it, man.
Okay. All right. So, are we good on that stuff?
We're Marvy. Keep going.
All right. So we're at our apps of the week, right?
Yeah.
Coming up, Alan Furstenberg.
I got nothing. Bruce.
He's got nothing.
He's calling it in tonight.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen because my wife had an iPhone 4, and her contract was up. It was time for her to switch. And boy, I mean, it was. I tell you, I mean, phone is very personal choice, and back and forth, back and forth. She tried to store for a while. She went back, was back to switch on the phone by vest. Sit in line, but on the right, switch on. She said, "No, I can do this. I'm gonna stick with the Android operating system."
Oh my God, Bruce, hang on. I swear to God, you sound, it's so bad, it's almost like a song. It's like an auto-tune.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce.
Oh, man, I thought it was just me.
No, hey, Bruce. Let's try something here, my friend. If you will get back to your camera, I have pulled up the app that you were going to talk about, the NILS lock screen.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Let's give this a whirl, man, because you were siloning pretty bad on us.
It's like that song. buy you a drink. Auto
Okay,
tune.
I'm back to the camera. Is that
Okay,
better?
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
gonna blue screen Duke.
Man, that okay. So I'm on the Chromebook. This is kind of disappointing for that to happen. I think I've had that experience one other time before, and I had just forgotten about it. But anyway, so my one of the features that my wife liked about the iPhone was the fact that when she would get a text message or an email or a Facebook notification, it would pop up on the lock screen. And she really liked that. It was convenient for her, and she was able to, to tap on her lock screen, and it would go right to the Facebook app or Twitter or whatever else that had initiated the notification, and she was able to respond to it. So this was one of the key things to her. So I looked around and I found this app called, I don't know if you pronounce it Nils or Niles. It's Nils with the N and the L and the S all capitalized. But this app allows you to do that. Now it's for Android phones 4.2 and up, and so it worked for her S4 when she got it, and then of course she got the over-the-air update to 4.3, as did I some weeks later on my Samsung Note 2. And I like it. It really works great. In fact, when you send out the notification for the Hangout, what it does is it wakes my phone up from sleep. The lock screen pops up, and I can see what the notification is. And you can customize this thing. You're looking at the picture that Duke's showing right now. You can customize colors. If you've got an alarm set, you can have the alarm show in a different color. You can boldface the hours on the clock. You can color the background. And you can determine how many lines you want to give to each notification, if you only want 1 line or 2 lines or 6 lines. And it really, really works good. Just before you called on me to do my app of the week, I got an email notification from my wife, and it popped up. And it's nice because you get a notification, your screen comes alive, it gets your attention, you look at it, and you can see exactly what it is, and you can decide whether it's something important you need to deal with right now or not. So it's a great app, and in order to work it, there's some instructions that come with it. You have to turn off your phone, not turn it off, but push the power button to get it to go to sleep. Then push the power button to bring up the lock screen. You tap on the clock, you drag it down to make it large, and then you press and hold the clock, which allows you to slide up and remove it. And then you have to activate in your Android settings the ability to have multiple widgets on your lock screen. And then there's a plus sign after you delete the clock, and you can go to the Niles thing and add that. And then there's all kinds of customizations and things you can do with it. So I really like it a lot. It was a deal maker for her in staying with the S4 and moving to the Android system, and it's a great app for me as well.
Bruce, you've sold me. I just downloaded it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. That looks like a really solid app.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, just moving on here, I'm going to go ahead and do my app of the week very, very similar. My app this week is Pedometer. And if you search for Pedometer in the Play Store, you're going to find many of them. There's several to choose from. This particular one, and I did put the link in the show notes, this particular one is fairly new. It's Jav for Evelyn. I don't know if that's how, but that's who it's made by. Okay. I just started using this today, but here's 2 things that I really like about it. One is it's simple. Okay, I mean, basically all you do is activate this thing. The second thing that I like about this, it's supposed to use very little battery. And I've got Cardio Trainer Pro. I do not have it installed on my Nexus 5 at this time, and it's a great app, and it will do a pedometer. It's very sophisticated, and it has not been kind to my batteries. I'm trying this out so far. I just turned it on today, but so far I've been very impressed with it. I've set a goal for myself of doing 10,000 steps this week, and I'm going to see how I do. It's got some leaderboards and some achievements. So you're going to get some notifications when you do something good. You can compare yourself with other people who are using the app, so that gives it a little social aspect. I'm really not interested in that, but I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm going to try and walk 10,000 steps, this is going to tell me how far I am from that goal. And I think this is a very cool free app. It's a fairly new app. It's pedometer.
Does your phone have a replaceable battery?
No, it does not.
Okay, that sucks. I was gonna say get one of those kits, but you can't.
Well, I've got two external battery packs, a 5,000 and a 10,000 milliamp.
Okay, cool. You'll have to get one of those belts like Craig uses when he shoots video. You can have all your accessories.
So this is interesting. On the Chromebook, if you're in a hangout, you can't share your screen and still be able to have quality audio. It went horribly.
I think it's your Wi-Fi.
Um, mm, I've got Cat 5 wired to the room here. I'm not on a Wi-Fi network. Granted, the network, may be having some problems.
Your
No.
audio is excellent. Your video is not stellar.
Well, the video is
the
not stellar
frame rate's
because
kind of low.
I'm using the Chromebook.
Yeah, when he goes to screen share and he's using video at 2 gigs of RAM, he's running out.
Yeah. You got to up your hotel game. You can't stay at those Elliott Spitzer hotels.
This is the Fairfield Inn Marriott. They love me here.
I imagine they do. Maybe they can buy new curtains.
Android curtains.
All right, so I got two I want to share with you guys. One is from Chuck Cortez. I asked him earlier. This is not an Android app, but I'll just briefly highlight this. This is the app he was talking about. He was having a problem watching this program with the app. So obviously that's an issue. But it's called Magic Actions for YouTube. I'm not a fan of ad blocking software because I make all my money from ads in the newspaper and Duck Dynasty videos. But it has an auto HD feature. It starts them all at 1080 or whatever. It's got an ad blocker. It's got instant control over volume by scrolling your mouse wheel. A cinema mode. One click and the whole page is shaded. Makes you feel like you're in a movie theater. A screen capture. You can take a snapshot from the video and save it as a PNG, JPEG, or whatever format. A day-night toggle to browse in black or white. Video and delete your watch history. Ratings preview for related videos. Enlarge avatars, etc., etc. So this is a free app called Magic Actions for YouTube, and it's in the Chrome Web Store. So this would be a cool thing for Bruce to have on his Chrome book. And then my actual Android app is, I saw this today. This is called Yidio, and what this does, it looks at all of your apps on your phone that play video, like Hulu Plus or Amazon Prime, Netflix, etc. And if you're looking for a TV show or a movie and you want to quickly find out, is it in, where is it? This does that. So what it would be really handy for is obviously for that purpose. And also the other night I was at Martin's grocery store, which is prominent here on the East Coast. And I rented a couple movies from Redbox. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder if any of these are on Amazon Prime or Netflix. And I'm, wasting money. So this would be a handy way to determine if, before you spend $1.20 or if you buy the Blu-ray, whatever, do I already have access to this movie through one of my services that I'm already paying for? So that's kind of a handy dandy thing. It's free. It's Yidio, Yidio. Yidio. It's in the Google Play Store. Any final thoughts, guys? Thank you all very much for joining us. We have two programs. Google Plus Week is Friday night at 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Google Plus Week, Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And this program, our Android Week, which is Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we'll definitely have to be on time next week and cut it short because there's YouTube maintenance starting at 7 Pacific.
7 Pacific, 10 Eastern.
Yeah, so we'll have to shut down by 10 Eastern.
And if we actually start on time, we don't need to cut it short.
Absolutely. It wasn't Alan's fault this time. I was rebooting and it took forever. But okay, so there we go. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your comments, Chuck and Rich. And this one last comment here. Duke needs more light. Bruce has been on since 9, and Alan is always right. Not politically, but, you know, factually.
There's
So anyway,
my fan, Clay.
thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, have a wonderful Android week.